Here's your report.
Thanks, Jane. I wish I could hire a whole team of yous.
Try posting a job on LinkedIn. It's the world's largest professional network. Unlike resumes, LinkedIn gives a real-time view into a candidate's skills, experiences, and more.
Let's do it. You're irreplaceable, Jane, but another you would be great.
Find your perfect match with LinkedIn. Post your free job at linkedin.com/achieve. That's linkedin.com/achieve. Terms and conditions apply.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon Prime. There's nothing sweeter than baking cookies during the holidays. With Prime, I get all my ingredients delivered right to my door, fast and free, no last-minute store trips needed. And of course, I blast my favorite holiday playlist on Amazon Music. It's the ultimate soundtrack for creating unforgettable memories. From streaming to shopping, it's on Prime. Visit Amazon.com/Prime to get more out of whatever you're into.
Who is that guy?
You're my boyfriend.
How did he feel about it?
He wasn't in the picture then.
Okay.
So I just was not trying to be a jerk to him.
Okay,
And
that's not the same as keeping a joint account.
I know, it was stupid.
All right, so he overdraws the account.
And then I closed it because the bank called me.
Sure.
And they said, what happened?
This is the plaintiff, Robert Hall. He says the defendant is his ex-wife, and in their divorce, he got their washer and dryer. Since he wasn't using them, he agreed to sell them to the defendant. She promised to pay him back, but of course now refuses. She also stole a dresser from him, and he's here in the name of justice, suing for the $620 he's now owed. This is the defendant, Linda Hall. She says things were good between her and the plaintiff in the beginning of their marriage. But when he physically assaulted her, she called the cops, and that was the end of their life together. As far as the washer-dryer goes, they're hers. He was supposed to pay her for them. He never did, so she still has them. Bottom line, the guy's unruly. He's bothering her, and he must be stopped. She's accused of dissing an ex-husband. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $4,280 for harassment and lost wages.
All parties, please use your right hand.
What you are about to witness is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in civil court. Both parties have agreed to drop their claims and have their cases settled here before Judge Marilyn Milian in our forum, the People's Court.
People's Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Marilyn Milian is now presiding. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Hall, you're suing your ex, Mrs. Hall, for $620 that you say she owes you. You have a counterclaim against him for harassment to the tune of $4,280. Let's talk to you first. Mr. Hall, what's going on?
Well, back in December of 2020, my ex-wife and I, we divorced. And
How long had you been married?
15 years.
Okay.
And I moved to another part of the state, and I took a washer and dryer with me. Well,
let me just ask you, when you guys divorced, was there a divorce settlement?
Yeah, we pretty much split proceeds pretty much evenly, and nothing was really said.
So, like, you took the washer dryer, she took something else, and when all was said and done, it was even? Is that what you're saying?
No, actually, I took the washer and dryer, and she took $500 out of a joint account that we still had together. So after proceeds were split up, the washer and dryer we hadn't really discussed who would get the washer and dryer. So I took the washer and dryer, and she took $500 out of a joint account. Now, in the meantime, I overdrafted that account by $180.
Did you guys have a lawyer?
No.
I did.
Yes and no? What?
I did.
You did.
I did
Okay.
not.
In the settlement agreement, the whole point of the settlement agreement is to never have contact again. It's to resolve it once and for all. And the sentence that's in there is, they're going to divide the property but amongst themselves, a personal property. That is like a recipe for disaster.
Exactly.
It should all be divided and accounted for before you guys sign.
Understood.
Because that's the hammer over everyone's head to be reasonable.
Right.
So when was it decided that the dryer would go to him and that you would take $500?
Okay, well, what happened was, when I filed for divorce, I told him 3 days after I did, because when I filed, it was his birthday. When I filed for divorce.
Why'd you file on his birthday?
Why did I? It
Yeah.
just so happened to be that day.
You couldn't wait till the next day?
I did get
No.
a happy birthday.
I mean, you couldn't wait till one more day? Why not?
I couldn't, because I found him doing things online that he.
Porn?
Yeah.
He was actually looking for a local girl too.
Okay.
That was what he was on.
Okay.
So I was done.
Yeah.
So I filed. And
Right, but you didn't file the same day you found that out. You waited for his birthday to file.
No, I found out like right then. It was
What's
around
right
his
then?
birthday.
Like you find out on day one, and what day do you file? Day 4? After the day 1? Or what?
I honestly can't say if it was 4.
Okay,
it was
whatever.
2.
So you file on his birthday, and then what?
And then I told him 3 days later that I had filed and that I was moving into an apartment because I got myself all, figured out. And he was angry, belligerent. He left. He came home intoxicated and on the couch, and he got angry. I was standing. He jumped up from the couch. He grabbed me around here. He wouldn't let go of me. I couldn't breathe. And he said, "I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to finish this." And I cried.
Complicated.
And he let go. I went into the bedroom and
What's this
locked
got
the
to do
door.
with
Can you
case.
stop?
I'm sorry.
If I want to hear it, I want to hear it. Don't talk over her. Go ahead.
Sorry.
So I went to bed and locked myself in, and he fell asleep back on the couch. The next day, we talked because we always did get along. He was like a very good friend of mine, basically. We decided to be civil. So we stayed, and it seemed to be civil. Then I moved out. The thing with the washer and dryer was that was a Christmas gift to me from him.
Okay.
So when we were talking about moving, I was going into an apartment, so I couldn't take it with me.
All right, so he took it, and then you took $500 from the account. Is that accurate or no?
No.
No. Okay, so you just gave it to him? And
What happened was, he told me he would give me $500 for the washer and dryer, and I said, okay. Well, when it came time for me to be leaving, he was very belligerent. He was refusing to move. The closing got canceled because he would not leave the premises. So as he was being like that, he goes, and I still have to give you $500 for the washer and dryer. And I said, I'm all set. I'm done. And I left.
So you never took the $500 that
No.
from a joint account, but you still had a joint account with him.
We had a joint account.
In fact,
because-
you had a joint account with him for like a year and a half after the divorce.
No, about a year probably.
Why? Why do you have a joint account a day after the divorce?
Because he didn't know how to do banking. So
well, if your name's on it and you know your name's on it, why don't you do the banking and close it?
I was doing banking for him.
I'm sorry. Why do you have a joint account with your ex-husband 1 year later?
Because
you
we
kept
didn't-
doing his banking?
Yes, because he didn't know how to do it. And then finally when he...
Who is that guy?
He's my boyfriend.
How did he feel about it?
He wasn't in the picture then.
Okay.
So I just was not trying to be a jerk to him.
Okay,
And
that's
so-
not the same as keeping a joint account.
I know, it was stupid.
All right, so he overdraws the account.
And then I closed it because the bank called me.
Sure.
And they said, what happened? And I explained to the girl, I wasn't using that account. It was his account, basically. I had my own account.
Just get your name off of it.
So I
and
did.
maybe he's a big boy and he should learn how to
I
bank
did.
at the age of, how old are you?
64.
Yeah, he should know how to bank.
I did close the account that day.
Oh.
And I paid the over fee that
All
he
right.
accrued, which I didn't ask him for because I just want him gone.
Okay, so you've now been divorced for 2 years?
Yes.
All right, tell me about what happens with the washer dryer that brings us now into court.
Well, I took the washer and dryer and never used them. And she asked me, I believe in the spring of this year, are you using a washer and dryer? I said, no, I'm not. Would you like them back? Sure. So I packed up the dogs. That's another part of this story. Packed up the dogs in the washer and dryer, delivered them to Linda and her boyfriend. And I was kind enough to even help them bring them into the basement. And after a while, it's like, well, gee, you took $500 out of the joint account, blah, blah, blah.
Did you ever actually witness that she took the $500 out of the joint account?
No, I didn't, because I was already living in Naples and she was still living in Rochester. So
But
I
you
didn't.
could, because it was your bank account, right? Isn't that what you're saying?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Right, so can you verify for me here today that she's lying when she says she didn't take the $500?
I can.
Did you guys have kids together?
No.
Okay, so go on.
We had 2 pets.
The 2 pets, all right.
2 pets, which I more than willingly let her come and see any time when I was living in Naples. Hey, I'd like to come and see the dogs. Oh, come on out. So shortly after I delivered the dogs in the washing
So why were
machine-
you delivering the dogs to her? What had happened?
Because I didn't want to keep them where I was anymore. It was a bad environment. My roommate was really messy. Anyway,
Okay.
she could accommodate them better.
Okay.
But I had the impression that I could see the dogs. They're like my children. You know?
Okay.
And after that, well, she couldn't let me see them anymore. So
What did she say to you?
well, she said it was too tough. It was too tough to see her. So
Is this
I haven't
after or
been able- I haven't
before
been able to see
you
the
went to
dogs.
her house banging on the door demanding money for the washer dryer?
I'm sorry?
Is this after or before you went to the house banging on the door that you would not be ignored? Like,
That
when did she
actually-
say, no, you can't keep coming here to see
That
it?
led up to my banging on the door because honestly, it was more about not being able to see the dogs anymore as opposed to the money that I felt that she
Did you
owed me.
ever, agree, when he brought the washer dryer, was there ever any discussion between the 2 of you about you paying for it?
What he told me was, whatever money you were going to give me for the washer and dryer, which I just let him talk, put that money towards Riley because she has Cushing's. For her, like her food she was putting on.
The dog.
For the dog.
One of the
So I
dogs.
said, okay. And as far as
What's Cushing's? Tell me about that.
It's a,
Like an
he can
autoimmune?
explain it better.
Okay. So you have to, so put that towards the dog means what? Towards the treatment?
Towards her vet bills, her treatment, she was put on a raw food diet, which is
Okay.
very expensive.
Okay.
So that's what he told me. And I did let him come see the dogs. He came, I could say for sure twice, maybe 3 times.
And then what?
No.
When did you decide that he couldn't come see the dogs anymore?
Because he would make dates to come see them and he wouldn't show up. And I just was tired of him.
That meaning you would wait around or,
Yes.
right?
Such a lie.
Okay.
Yes.
Because the dogs don't know. 'Cause
The dogs
they
don't
speak English.
know.
It's not like with kids when you make dates to see the kids and you don't
The
give up
dogs
the-
don't know. And
Right.
at this point in my life, I went through enough with this man and I want him gone.
Okay. All right. So according to you, you're not supposed to pay for it. I don't know why there would be anything that you would be paying for if you never took the $500 out. I'm kind of really confused about it.
Exactly.
But whatever it is, apparently he did think you were going to pay him something because according to you, what he tells you is put that towards Riley.
In
Did
his
you
mind.
say that?
I originally said that when it was still amicable at that point, okay? And like I said, she was able to see the dogs anytime when I lived in Naples. And then shortly after, and I never made dates to see the dogs. I don't know where she comes up with this. I asked to see the dogs and I was never allowed to see the dogs after she took custody of them again. So the other part of my lawsuit, are we ready to get to that? Her daughter owns a warehouse space that she has a business out of. And when Linda and I separated, we both brought stuff to her daughter's warehouse. Now, one of the things that we split up was a dresser set.
How do I know that? Normally, I'd look at the divorce decree and figure out who got the dresser, who
True.
got the pots and pans, who ate.
Well, that was just an agreement.
No, I know, but
That's-
watch this.
Well-
Did he get the dresser?
No.
Okay.
My daughter asked me to come get him out of her warehouse maybe 4 weeks ago because when he put his stuff in her warehouse, he said that it'll only be here maybe 2 months.
And how long has it been in the warehouse?
2 years.
Okay. Are you paying storage?
No.
All right.
I have-
So did the daughter ever tell him, take your stuff out?
She's waiting for this case to be over, and then she will be telling him to
Okay,
get
she
his
just
stuff
needs to
out.
send him a letter saying you
I
have
know.
30 days to take it out. I can no
know.
longer house it if she doesn't want it. And
I understand. She's like,
do they have a relationship?
Yes.
Because he was around 15
Yes.
years. So is that the time she was kind of growing up, or she was already an adult when he came in?
she was a teenager, and he was
Okay.
very good to my kids.
Do you have a relationship with her now? Like, do you talk to
I haven't talked to Jesse in a while, and I'm sure
What's a while?
It's months.
Okay. But, you know, what's your game plan here on when you're going to take the stuff that you put in that warehouse out?
As soon as I find my own place.
Well, maybe you don't have that option anymore. Maybe you're going to have to pay for a warehouse because
Looks
I'm
like
not
it.
sure. But did you remove all of the stuff, including his stuff? No, right? Like, whatever he put there, your daughter still has there.
Oh, yes, it's all.
You're just saying that the dresser is not one of the things he put there.
So the dressers, I have a statement from my daughter.
Saying that you bought the dresser from her for $150.
Exactly, the two dressers.
While you were together or after you were apart?
We were together.
Right, so now I'm back to square one, which is, well, who got the dresser and who got the couch and who got that?
Exactly.
Because normally I would look at a schedule of personal property division,
right.
and I don't have that here, but
right.
All right. So I have no clue who got the dresser. Do you have any proof that it should be you? Do you have any proof that it should be you? Either one of you have any proof of anything you're saying? Okay, great. All right, so now his clothes was in the dresser, and then you go to the storage room and you find your clothes in bags on the floor.
Yeah, I went to get some clothes out of the dresser that I once owned, and there's all my clothes in garbage bags, and where's the dresser? And in the meantime, I asked her daughter, do you know what happened to the dresser? And of course her daughter says, oh, I don't know. Well, of course she knew. She had to be there when her mother...
Maybe she doesn't want to get involved, which she's doing a very bad job at, because if you don't want to get involved, don't store your mom's ex's stuff. I mean, you know, no. I have one way to not get involved, which is actually not getting involved.
But she was sort of put in that position when we...
There's no put in a position. All she needs to say is, I don't want to be in that position.
I know.
That's all she has to do. No, I would rather not do that. Especially if things were volatile between you two. It's crazy for her to do that. But I guess she has her own relationship with him and whatever else. But it needs to end. 2 years of free storage is enough. But she's the one who needs to express that to him and then give him time to remove it. All right?
Which is fine. I mean, it's more him saying that dressers are his. When he applied for the first...
Yeah, I'm not doing the dresser. If you guys didn't think it was important enough to hash out in a written agreement during the divorce, then the heck with both of you. Okay. What I want to talk about is the washer dryer, but on the dresser you have no proof that it's yours. On the washer dryer, you say he said, if you're going to give me money towards it, put it towards Riley. He admits he said that. He just feels that he shouldn't have to be bound by that because you aren't letting him see Riley. By the way, and that is accurate that you're done and you don't want to have contact with him.
I don't want to have contact with him ever again. No, I don't.
All right. Then you have a counterclaim against him for $4,280, $4,000 for harassment. What harassment?
Well, this is harassment number one, because the day that I had to go get a restraining order because he was trying to break into my house.
Why were you getting a restraining order?
Because he was beating on our house and trying to get in and outside swearing, and I sent videos. I had the videos
hold on one
of
second.
him.
Hold on one second. Which of these cars is his?
Neither.
I'm on a motorcycle.
Okay.
And it's out at the street. You'd probably
Got it. Is that him?
Yes.
That's me.
Okay. Be quiet, please. The dogs are outside unleashed?
That's
They're
our
the neighbors, but
Okay.
they go running because he's hitting the door so hard.
Better answer the door. I'm going through it. I can tell you that much right now. What's that? Call the police. Do that.
I'm talking to the neighbor right now.
Better open the goddamn door. Well, get the out of the house and pays me the money she owes me. I'll be great. I'm a little sick and tired of sending her text for the washer and dryer that I delivered to her, and now we won't answer the door. And I know they're both home. Here's her car. Yeah. I'm getting really.
Who are you talking to there?
The neighbor that owns the home that they live in.
Okay.
He walked over after I started banging on the door because his wife was alerted to the fact that I was banging on the door.
Okay.
When I wanted the washer and dryer. And how long ago was this? This is a few months back. I'll drag her into court at that.
Are these the police?
Yes, they are.
Was he still there when the police came or no?
They
He
came
had
shortly after, but they crossed
They
him.
caught him.
I met them at the corner.
Okay, and what happened there? Nothing, right?
Oh, I got off the motorcycle and shut the bike off, and the second officer said, "Are you Robert?" And I said, "Yes, I am." He goes, "Do you know why I'm here?" I said, "I absolutely do."
Okay, but nobody got arrested or anything like that?
No, but I had a restraining order sworn against me
Okay,
the
and
next
then the
day.
restraining order, what was it you said in order to get the restraining order? Like, what was your allegation that what?
That he was trying to break into my house, and I had previous issues with him.
Do you have the restraining order with you?
Yes.
May I see it?
There are toys, and then there are freak-out-worthy toys. Toys that get big reactions like...
OMG, no way!
Or...
Best present ever!
Or...
It's what I've always wanted.
For those toys, you need Walmart. They've got exclusives from major brands like Disney, Barbie, and Adventure Force that you can't find anywhere else. Toys that make kids jump for joy.
Thank you, thank you!
And make you a hero for giving them. Shop hundreds of exclusive toys.
Yes!
Welcome to your Walmart.
Ryan Reynolds here for Mint Mobile. You know, one of the perks about having 4 kids that you know about is actually getting a direct line to the big man up north. And this year, he wants you to know the best gift that you can give someone is the gift of Mint Mobile's unlimited wireless for $15 a month. Now, you don't even need to wrap it. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited. See mintmobile.com for details.
Just so you know, after dinner, I will be stopping by your house to get the money. Linda called 911 for assistance. Talked to an officer on the phone. They said to call them when he gets to her house. He came to the residence uninvited. She then called 911 for assistance a second time. He was striking the door and trying to get into the residence by turning the knob.
Yes.
Were you trying to get in by turning the knob?
No.
Where?
I was banging on the door. That's
I
all
hear
was
the banging. I don't hear anything about the knob, and I don't see anything about the knob.
Right.
All right. Linda's landlord intervened due to hearing how loud he was striking the door. Continued to low and stated the words to the effect, "Get your lazy blank out here and give me my money." Robert did eventually leave. Blah, blah, blah. Within the next hours, Robert texted Linda and stated the words to the effect, "I hate you. I'll be taking you to court for my money. Andrew is afraid of me." Who's Andrew? Oh, all right. Did you say the words to her on the day that you got the divorce action? Did you say the words to her, "I'm going to finish you"?
Quite honestly, I don't recall that.
Did you call the cops that day?
I went the next morning.
Yeah, right. You didn't call the cops that day, right?
I locked the door, exactly.
What?
I went in the bedroom and locked the door because he eventually passed out on the couch.
But if you're worried somebody's going to hurt you, why wouldn't you call the cops that night?
I should have.
Okay. There's nothing she said. The only thing that I'm seeing in here that could be false, I don't know, is the door. I didn't hear it, so I don't know. You guys were actually inside when this was going on, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And did you hear the door?
I witnessed it. I could see it moving.
You could see the...
Yep.
All right. Do you ever talk to him?
Not really, no.
Okay. What is the basis of the $4,000? How did he come up with that figure?
I didn't really have a basis of coming up with that figure. It's just he doesn't stop. When he gets in, he can be very calm. But when he gets in the mood to be angry and out of control, he just doesn't stop.
Yeah, you kind of do lose it when you're ignored. And she didn't answer your text, and you lost it.
Well, it was the crickets after text, after text, after text. Nothing but crickets.
She is your ex. You shouldn't have bank accounts together, and you probably shouldn't have anything to do with each other anymore.
Well, pay me the money you owe me, and I'll be gone.
Right, you keep saying that. Now let's talk about that. Let's first talk about the balance owed for the washer-dryer. You yourself have testified that at the time that you bring it over, you had said to her originally, "I'm bringing you the dogs, I'm bringing you the washer-dryer, put that money towards treatment for Riley because I know you guys are footing the bill." All right? So when you say that, now you're telling me, "Yeah, I said that, but now I changed my mind because she won't let me see the dog." Well, you don't get to change your mind. I'm only here to enforce legal contracts. If there was never an obligation to actually give you $320, because the $320 are supposed to go to the super expensive meals that she's giving a dog that you love, then that's what your agreement was. So let's put all that to aside and let's look at your counterclaim against him. The harassment and the 2 days lost wages. I'm not going to order him to pay you $4,280, in harassment or lost wages. Your remedy is to do what you did. You got a restraining order against him, and now that's it. And now we have the 2 dogs that you gave to her with conditions, you say, because you had always let her see that, there's no custody arrangements. Well, it shouldn't be, and some courts actually do that. But this court doesn't. Dogs are property, and that's something that, is just, it's the way the chips fell. This is where it fell. She's paying for the treatment of the dog. That's where you told her to put the money, not in your pocket, and you don't have a right to the money. The dresser you can't even prove at all. So on your lawsuit against her, 0. On her claim against you, also 0. This should end it, folks. This should end it.
Yeah, but
all right?
Your Honor, there was $500, okay?
Oh, no, we're not relitigating that. That's my verdict.
Okay.
Okay.
So we have a 0-0 tie here in this case, and nobody gets anything. Let's see what Mr. Hall, Robert Hall, the plaintiff, has to say about it. He'd been suing for $620. He didn't get it. Mr. Hall, what are your thoughts?
I'm not too happy. I thought for sure I had somewhat of a case, but apparently not.
Well, the judge said, you know, you guys had worked it out. You gave her the dogs and the washing machine and the dryer and said put the money toward them, and that's what you did. That was your
and I
agreement.
can't see the dogs anymore, so.
Well,
it's a
that was part of
lose-lose
the
for
deal.
me.
So the judge says this should be it. It's over now. Can you accept that?
Absolutely.
All right. You should have no contact. Obviously, you can't.
Well, I have a restraining order, so that makes for a no contact.
That's what I mean, yeah. That's for sure. All right. Well, it wasn't a good day for you in court, so I'm sorry, but that's the way it is.
Oh, well.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
All right. So let's see what Linda Hall has to say now. I would imagine she's somewhat relieved. Let's find out. You didn't get $4,000, but the judge says it's over, and perhaps it is.
Absolutely. That's what I was looking for, him to go away.
How about the dogs? You still have the dogs.
I have
they
the dogs.
Okay?
They're good. The one's still sick, but she'll be okay. Taking care of her.
Okay. Good enough. Well, listen, good luck to you. As I said, the judge said it's over now, so maybe this will give you relief.
It will. Thank you very much.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hall. All right. Okay, Harvey.
Okay, Doug. Well, this is a barter situation, and I want to say something. It's always a good idea to have a contract in writing. It just is easier to prove your case if there's a dispute. It is especially important with barter because you're dealing with apples and oranges, and it can get complicated, and if you don't put it in writing, you're going to be in trouble.
I took my car in to fix a leak. I was told it was a motor oil valve gasket. When I went to pick up my car, they had my windows down. I started my car and tried to roll up my windows, and they wouldn't roll up. But my windows were working fine when I took my car to the shop. Should I sue the body shop for the window?
This is an example of the difference between a correlation and actual causation. Okay? She took the car in to have some work done, and all of a sudden the windows don't work. But they weren't working on the windows. So her conclusion is they must have screwed up my windows. But just because there's a correlation doesn't mean there's causation involved. It's like if I go to my doctor because I sprained my ankle and I get a terrible headache while I'm in the examining room. I'm not going to say, hey, you're responsible for my headache. We don't really know, and it's hard to prove that. To actually
it's going to be very hard to prove. I mean,
this has happened to me. I've taken things cars into people to fix problem X, and I leave with problem Y. I'm like, oh my God.
You have to prove that they caused problem Y rather than that problem Y happened.
Right.
And they had the car when it happened.
Right.
Because I can't imagine that the valve gasket has anything to do with the windows. I guess she's trying to say that her windows were up and then they were down and then they didn't come back up. But then all they would have done was put her windows down.
Right.
Which is the normal use of a window. So where would the negligence be there? If it broke, it's not because of putting the window down.
No, and it can't possibly be related to
the
changing
valve
the head
gasket.
gasket.
So I don't think it's worth filing a lawsuit. I think it's virtually impossible to prove.
I would agree. I mean, first of all, you're going to need an expert. That's expensive. And you're going to
have to find the expert who's going to say, yes, they did that.
Yeah, the windows broke because they changed your head gasket or your valve gasket, whatever it is. Yeah, that's a long shot if ever there was one.
Yes.
This episode is brought to you by Atlassian. Atlassian makes the team collaboration software that powers enterprise businesses around the world, including over 80% of the Fortune 500. With Atlassian's AI-powered software like Jira, Confluence, and Loom, you'll have more time to do the work that matters. In fact, Atlassian customers experience a 25% reduction in project duration per year. Unleash the potential of your team at Atlassian.com. Atlassian.
This is the plaintiff, Terrence Coulson. He says the defendant is a friend of his and he loaned her money, which she is refusing to pay back. He was her knight in shining armor when she was down on her luck, and he came to her rescue when she needed it most. Shame on her for not paying him back, and shame on her for ruining their friendship. He's suing for $1,668, the money he's owed. This is the defendant, Tammy Adair. She says the money the plaintiff gave her was for an apartment he could live in when he got released from jail. Unfortunately, the apartment fell through because his parole officer rejected the place. She doesn't owe the plaintiff any money. In fact, he owes her for some marijuana she purchased from him and never received. She's accused of letting a guy down. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $120 for an ounce of marijuana she never received.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket, the plaintiff says he loaned his good friend, the defendant, money and she refuses to pay him back. But the defendant says the plaintiff gave her the money in an act of kindness when he got released from jail so she could rent an apartment, and now he's turning against her, claiming it was a loan? It's the case of jailhouse rotten.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
All right, Mr. Coulson, why are you suing Miss Adair?
Because I gave her some money when I was incarcerated so she could pay for this apartment or sublease this apartment to me. And then maybe a month and a half before I was to be released, she was nowhere to be found. And answered the phone when my parole officer wanted to see the apartment. And upon me coming home, she just said, "Hey, I don't have the place. It is what it is. I'll pay you whenever I feel like it."
Okay, so let's back up. You're incarcerated for what?
For a robbery.
Okay, and then during the time of your incarceration, you forward to her $1,200 for her rent on an apartment that she's not living in?
No, she's saying that it was in Syracuse, New York. So she was saying that she was going to sublease it to me.
Right, but was she living in it at the time?
Yeah, she was living in it. Well, she left there because she couldn't pay the rent.
Right, but was she renting two places at once?
No.
You tell me about that, Ms. Adair. You're renting two places at once?
Yes, I was renting two places at once, Your Honor.
Why?
I was receiving, because I didn't want to reside in Syracuse no longer, but I wanted to keep that apartment. The rent was cheap. So since it was so cheap, I was trying to get initially a family member to keep it because I wanted to use it as a place of business.
And where were you actually living then?
In Long Island.
So you were paying for two apartments?
Yep.
And what happens? Why do you need his money to do it?
He wanted to reside in Syracuse. So when I let him know that I still had the apartment and was paying for it, I said, you can rent that.
So you got from him $1,200 for him to live there 3 months after he gets out of custody?
No, he gave me that money to hold the apartment until he came home so he could come home to that apartment.
And then come home and then what? Start paying rent from day one?
No, start paying rent from January 1st. Rent was paid up.
And then what happens? Does he move into the place?
No.
Why not?
I call his sister. I'm in touch with his sister. And as far as him saying I was nowhere to be found, this, that, and the third, my phone number never changed. His sisters always, every time his sisters reached out to me, I always responded.
So why did the deal fall through?
Because when his parole officer called his sister, he called her. I didn't know that he told his PO that his sister was the landlord. So I didn't know that they lied and said that she was the landlord, this, that, and the third. But in all reality, I was there. All she had to do was call me and let me know, listen, the PO wants to come see the apartment. Bam. She calls me after and tells me that after she kind of got into like this argument with the PO, and she let him know that she wasn't in Syracuse, so she couldn't show him the apartment. So I guess that she said that the PO was like, well, it's over. He denied his request.
What happened with the PO, Mr. Coulson?
The parole officer, I told her to call my sister so my sister can line it up.
Yeah, and your sister was supposed to lie and say she was the landlord because you didn't want the real landlord to find out that someone who's getting out of jail for an armed robbery was moving in.
No, my sister was just supposed to give her Tammy's number.
And what happened?
Tammy never answered the phone.
Says who?
Says me, says my sister.
Do you have any evidence that Tammy didn't answer the phone as opposed to that it's the way Tammy says that your sister botched up the lie?
No.
Okay, so it's your word against her on the reason why things didn't happen. Now let's talk about the loan for the cell phone and miscellaneous items, another $500. Tell me about that.
She just was saying, I said, I got you, don't worry about it, because I know you need a couple dollars. I know you messed up out there. She said, well, let me borrow $200. I said, I'm going to do better than that. You're a grown-up. I'm going to let you borrow $500. Like, I'm not going to let you borrow $200. I know you need more than $200. I'll let you borrow $500. So my sister ended up sending her another $400.
Where's all the money from while
then
you're in
another
custody?
$100.
Where's all that money from?
From some properties that my family had and sold off, and
How long did you
wills
spend
and
in
trusts
jail for the robbery?
6 years.
Okay. Where did you end up living when you got out, since this didn't work out?
Now in the shelter.
You had to go to a shelter?
Yes.
All right. Now, Ms. Adair, he pays you $1,200, and we've been over that. He wasn't able to rent it. And then let's talk now about the cell phone. And he says he made you another loan of $500. True or not true?
He sent me $400, and that was, I guess, the interest that he said. Well, I told him I'd borrow the $200. Then he sent me
the interest. What are you talking about? You asked to borrow $200, and he sent you how much?
$400. And
you accepted that, right?
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be a loan. Now he says it's $500. So where's the discrepancy there? Is there another 100?
$400 one day and then another 100 the next day.
Is that accurate? Yeah. So it's a total of 500, Ms. Adair? 500. All right. And why don't you owe him that?
For one, most of the money that he gave me in that 400, I spent on getting him everything that he needed. His socks, his T-shirts, his food package, I don't have no problem giving him his $200,
So you're more than willing to borrow $200, but not $500.
Yeah.
But then when the $500 came, you accepted it and used it.
Yeah.
When things blew up here, did you agree that you would pay him back the money that he had?
Yeah. Right. I told him, you just got to give me some time until my stimulus checks and my taxes fall in, and I will pay you off.
Okay. If you're living in Long Island, why are you keeping an apartment in Syracuse? And when did you no longer have a chance to keep 2 apartments? Because that's extravagant.
I was collecting unemployment.
So with the unemployment you're collecting, you're renting 2 apartments in 2 different cities.
Yes.
Is this a great country or what? All right, let's see here. I have your version on what happened, and I have her version on what happened. And frankly, I don't believe either one of you on it, so I have no idea what happened. I do, however, see a text where she says that you're going to get your money. So what money did you think he was going to get? What did you mean when you said that?
I was going to pay him the money that I owed him.
Which is the money that you owed him?
The $200 he let me borrow.
But you said $1,200 in the text.
Let's see the text.
Well, okay, see, now, I was going to pay him his money, all that, because that's wrong. He lost out. You know what I'm saying? He coming at me sideways, disrespecting this, that, and the third. You know what I'm saying? Even broke, I'm trying to attempt to pay him back.
Yeah, you mentioned the $1,200 in that text, and you say, I ain't spent blank, but that 4 you sent. I did WTF. I was supposed to do with that $1,200.
Exactly.
And that was pay the damn rent. You're going to get your money.
Yes.
I did what he asked me to do. I kept that apartment until December. It's not my fault that they botched up the call with their PO. No, I'm not responsible for that. I did what he asked me to do.
You weren't there, and you wouldn't answer the phone.
I stopped getting... how his sister got in touch with me then, if I never answered the phone?
Because that was after the
later.
fact.
By that time, the parole officer already said, it's over, I'm done, I'm not going there.
Yeah. I'm going to order you... Why did you pay him back $32?
I was making an attempt to give him money.
Okay. If it's good enough for you, it's good enough for me. I'm going to order you to pay the remaining $1,668. You have a counterclaim against him for $120 for an ounce of marijuana that you purchased back when?
And it was 2014 or 2013.
Oh, sounds to me like the statute of limitations has passed. If I were inclined to sit around enforcing a drug deal, I don't know. I don't know why people are always confessing their drug deals to me.
That is extremely interesting. They would do that.
Okay, 0 on the counterclaim, $1,668 on the claim.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Ms. Adair, you got to give it back. Finally going to have to repay that loan. What are you thinking?
That was already going to give it back, so it ain't nothing.
No, you haven't given it back to him. You owe it to him.
I said I was going to.
He was your knight in shining armor.
No, he was not. Money. He wanted me, and he thought because he had a couple dollars that he could buy me. I don't get down like that.
Well, sorry, the judge thinks that's the way it was, and you own the money. By the way, you don't get money for the drug deal, okay?
It wasn't a drug
You hear
deal.
that? Yeah, the drug deal, you don't get that in court. No way. All right, $1,668. That's it. Mr. Coulson, you're finally going to get your money back. Good for you. It's taken a while.
Yes, thank you.
How you feel?
It has. It's been a headache.
All right, you're out of jail now. How you doing?
I'm all right. I'm just trying to get back to life and trying to live life. And just got employment, so now everything is up from there.
All right. Well, good luck to you. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Harvey?
Okay, Doug, so this is another one. Is it a loan? Is it a gift? This is where texts and emails are everything. For example, if you loan somebody money, send them a text, send them an email saying, I was happy to loan you money, and please pay me back as soon as you are able. That magic text can win you a lawsuit.
Is there a difference between case dismissed and judgment for the defendant?
There could be a very big difference between case dismissed and judgment for the defendant, because when a judge dismisses a case, he or she can do it with prejudice or without prejudice and with leave to amend or refile within a time certain, within a certain amount of time. And sometimes judges might do that kind of as a favor to the plaintiff to give them an opportunity to make clearer the allegations that they're trying to plead against somebody else. The arguments.
But there's no difference between case dismissed with prejudice, and verdict for the defendant.
Over.
That's game
Those
over.
are game over.
The same as verdict
Move
for the
on
defendant.
And maybe look up to the appellate court and hope you can convince them that the judge got it wrong.